this whole season, there's been a pretty big build-up to who the queen is and what she's like. Last week we saw a little bit of her power and the magic she can use. This week we see her governing and her ruling authority that she has over the kingdom. We're going to start in the trial. The queen is asking all these questions to the king and Myne, and we get to see that Myne is actually a pathological liar. That's what the queen calls it. So they put the curse seal on top of her so she has to tell the truth. And the king doesn't get this, but it's probably because the queen can assume he's going to tell her the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the first questions the queen asks is, did you collude with the Pope? Did you do this? Did you do that? And it turns out that, yeah, she did. She didn't collude with the Pope with the whole incident from last week's episode, but she has in the past.
Man, I feel like I mentioned this.
Go ahead, mention it again.
I said if Myne is correlating with the church somehow, when the church was attacking them, I said if she is somehow like involved with them, that would be crazy. Like that's how you know that she was like this evil and just wicked and just crazy person.
Yeah.
And it turns out that's true, that
she kept lying. Anytime the crest was like lighting up because she was lying and shocking her, she continued to tell lies over and over and over again. She seemed just like, we always call her crazy, she's this, she's that. She legit seemed like she belonged in like a psych ward. Her eyes were getting all like wide, and she's continuing to tell these lies, almost as if she believes them herself.
It almost made me feel bad for her. It feel sorry for her because it's just like everybody's seeing this, and she just keeps lying. And I'm just like, you're making it so much worse for yourself. Just tell the truth. Just finally tell it. Just come clean. Hey, the truth will set you free.
Hey, like Devin said, it was broadcast in the kingdom. We saw the screams out front. The queen exposes that she attempted to kill Malty, and this surprised the king, and it surprised everybody, except for Naofumi's crew.
Yeah.
And the other heroes, they were going along with it, like, yeah, she did seem like she was actually legit trying to kill Malty.
And then finally you see the face of Matoyasu when he finally hears that Naofumi wasn't the one that raped her or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, she lied about this too, And then she's like, no, I want to question her.
Yes.
And then he goes in to question her, and then she obviously you see that she's lying because she gets, shocked again. And then Matiyasu, I think that was like the final straw, in my opinion, for Matiyasu when he heard that. And I was just like, man, like even the person that she most trusts or the most got along with is like, no.
Yeah, and that's something. It's like Devin said, that looked like it hurt him the most, and how the heroes kind of treated Naofumi after he was accused in the beginning of the series is kind of like how they started all looking at her, or at least how Motoyasu kind of turned his back on her and was looking at her for the rest of the episode.
That was the straw when he
broke the camel's back.
Yeah, he turned his back. I was like, man.
But the king wasn't off the hook either. He colluded with the church also in order to bring all 4 heroes here and to Melmarmark. And the queen mentioned earlier in the episode how each country was supposed to summon their own hero to fight the waves.
Yeah.
And he selfishly did this to protect the kingdom for his family, giving all these excuses. And from the beginning of the series, we saw him, have something against the shield hero, and the queen mentions it, that he just doesn't like him, and that also blinded his judgment throughout this whole show.
Yeah, they didn't really give a reason, or the real defining reason why the king hates the shield hero.
Yeah,
it just seems like this is an ongoing thing that's been going on for a while. But I mean, still, nevertheless, you see that happening with them finding out that him conspiring with the church, and then him just showing his hate for Naofumi. I mean, like her and Myne, that duo. The irony that you see before the series started was that the first episode, you see the King and Myne on the right side, and they're the ones convicting Naofumi of all this stuff that he didn't do. And then towards the end, with the episode that we watched this time, you see the queen and Melty on the other side. So it's like two different pairs, like the good and the bad.
Yeah.
One that disrupts and one that restores order.
Yeah.
And so it's just like this whole irony playing. This whole episode was ironic.
Yeah, it was. And he also claimed to, he was trying to protect his family, doing all this for that reason. But, by protecting Myne this whole time, he almost hurt his own family. He almost hurt Melty.
Exactly.
And so this trial didn't have any effect on Naofumi because he said he knew what was coming. We saw early in the episode where he had a vision of some like execution happening to the king and to Myne. And so this was kind of like the appetizer because he knows the meal's coming. And the queen surprised everybody when she gave his judgment. Obviously, everybody but Naofumi. But it's like everybody's like, this is too much. Melty's face was like shocked, like, Mom, that's Your Majesty. That's too much.
Yeah, and you can, like you said, you can tell by her face. And then Naofumi was even feeling bad. He was like, is this really gonna happen? Like, is this like? I mean, and like we were discussing, I was thinking that maybe Naofumi had a little, cared for them a little bit, but maybe it's just his morality. I'm thinking more of it's just his morality. He doesn't feel like it's right. When Myne and her father were sentenced to death through the guillotine, we see how she, like I said, the irony. We see how she is basically looking for people for help, and she turns to Matsuyatsu. Like we said before, he just turns away.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm ashamed to, like, I've just been played, and Naofumi has been telling me the truth the whole time. And finally, like, the light, like, as I see the truth now. And, like, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
And so she's, like, alone. She finally feels what Naofumi feels, is what I'm trying to say. Because Naofumi in the beginning, I remember when the part where Raftalia, when she saw Raftalia when she was younger.
Right after the Matsuyatsu and
Naofumi fought the first time. He sees Raftalia almost leave with Myne, and he's like I have nothing. Like everything's just been taken away from me. And now Myne's feeling the same thing. And there's so much irony because she finally looks at Naofumi, the enemy, the one that she sees as an enemy, and cries to him like, "Please, I beg you, save me." And I just thought that was just the most ironic thing. Also in a courtroom, when you have someone who is guilty and has committed a heinous crime, in a sense, Naofumi was the one who saved Myne and her dad. And in the same sense, in biblical terms, Jesus was the one who saved the sinners. And so in the same sense, it's similar. Instead of giving Myne and her dad the death penalty, Naofumi decides to give them some nicknames. And these nicknames are, well...
Yeah. They're nicknames that you... Trash is not a horrible one.
Yeah.
But the king wasn't too bad to Naofumi. The other two are things that people just don't enjoy being called.
Yeah,
and,
let's say like that, yeah.
So, and it's funny because Naofumi gave Myne one nickname, and then the queen was like, well, she also goes by another name because she's an adventurer, so she has her princess name and her adventurer name. And he goes, oh, great, well, let's give her this nickname too. So she can't get out of embarrassment now.
Yeah, it's interesting what you said also because... like earlier today, you said how the crowd, he used that as to calm the crowd down because, I mean, the crowd was like almost like yelling, die, they deserve to die, they deserve to die, and that was kind of a way of him calming them down and also like saving them.
Yeah.
So it was like kind of like a 2-in-1 thing, and so yeah, he spares the king, he spares Myne, and he talks the crowd away of being angry at them.
They were ready to kill him.
They were ready to go
shouting, and they were all more upset than Naofumi.
Yeah.
And the other heroes who were kind of betrayed by her as well.
Because I mean, and you hear that some of them have went through hard times because of Myne, and the king. I think one of them mentioned that one of their family members died or something.
Yeah. The queen takes Naofumi up on the offer and gives these guys their nicknames that they're going to have for the rest of their lives. Nicknames they're going to live by, be embarrassed by, and as a reminder of what they've always done. Mm-hmm. And Devin was mentioning how the queen showed a lot of wisdom and the way she talked and the way she spoke, being the politician.
Yeah, the way she worded, I feel like played a role in how things actually played out, because I think it could have definitely went like haywire. Like I said earlier, like the crowd had that bloodlust, and so they were ready. They were ready to pounce, and like of course Naofumi had added to calming that down, but I think the way that she dictated the whole thing was spot on.
Yeah, it could have easily become a mob.
Yeah,
right away.
Absolutely. Yeah, the queen gets rid of the Church of the Three Heroes and makes it into the Four Heroes, and then we see the crowd say, "Okay, basically, we don't need these anymore because they were a representation of
the old church."
Yeah. And so they all threw it down, and I mean, basically, that was it for that. And now the Shield Hero is included, and so he has, his right within the Four Hero Cardinal group.
Yeah.
Like back in, the old episodes, we see that they want he was considered like almost like a plague to be, or like some type of vile thing to be around the heroes because of who he was, just being a shield hero. Yeah. And now he's actually being brought up, like the queen is restoring his rightful honor, and now creating what should have always been, which is the four heroes.
Mm-hmm. The queen actually did what she said she was going to do.
Yeah.
So, do you think we can trust her going forward?
Absolutely. I mean, she's like Naofumi. She's just like Naofumi, because Naofumi is someone who always honors his word. Mm-hmm. And I think this is the first time, as far as a leader in the royal group, that he has seen this in someone else, like as far as in a royal position.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
with Malty,
but I'm talking about like in a leader role.
Yeah. And I think even as a viewer, and not someone who was in the show, but as a viewer, seeing that she was actually willing to off herself, willing to take the place of her husband and her daughter, who are proven to be horrible people, especially Myne, just ridiculous. That makes me trust her. Yeah,
and appreciate just the type of person she is. I feel like and maybe we'll find out in these next coming episodes, but I feel like if she told Naofumi, that Naofumi would have even a greater appreciation for her and understand that she definitely is different.
Yeah,
from
for sure
Myne and them. So, like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts and your theories. Without said, I'm Devin.
I'm Noah.
We'll see you next time.